Alright, everybody. Before we get into our game for tonight, Dave, would you like to read the Wikipedia article for Lair?
Lair is an action-adventure video game developed by Factor 5 and published by Sony Computer Entertainment. It was released for the PS3 in August 2007 in North America. In Lair, the world is filled with deadly volcanoes which devastated the world's natural resources and air. It led to the native people to split up into two warring nations, the poor Mokai and the well-off Alicia. The story revolves around Ron Partridge, an Elysian Skyguard who eventually turned to support the Mokai. Wow. Spoilers. Most of the game's battles are air-based combat, with some fought on the ground by landing the dragon and fighting troops and other land-based creatures. A morale system is also present, in which enemies may retreat if suffered from low morale. Lair was the first PlayStation 3 title to be fully playable via remote play function, allowing it to be accessed through the internet on a portable PlayStation. And an English demo was released for Asian countries, except Japan prior to the game's release. The game's soundtrack was composed by John Debney. Lair received mixed reviews upon release, with critics praising the game's visuals and art direction, while criticizing its control schemes. Sony released a reviewer guide to teach viewers how to properly review the game. Analog stick support and DualShock 3 controller support were later introduced to the game.
Wait, so you're telling me you couldn't have used the analog sticks when the game first launched?
I guess not.
That should set the mood
Someone
of what
fucked
we're
up.
about to play.
Like... Alright,
The
just get
premise
into it.
sounds decent.
I mean, that was a common issue with a lot of PlayStation games that were released in the year 1999 on the PlayStation 1.
I think people have heard me say this before, but my least favorite part about the Armored Core games is that everything prior to Nexus has god-awful controls. But unlike what I'm expecting from Lair, those games were fun despite how awful they were to control, because once you got used to it, it played just fine. It was getting used to it that was the problem, but I have a feeling that is not the story for Lair.
I mean, the fact
So-
that they had to release a reviewer guide to,
A reviewer guide.
Oh, by the way, they did that after the reviews came in. After people gave it off for reviews.
It was probably made as a response. Are we still
Probably.
hanging on the screen?
Oh my fucking god.
Did you break it already?
I would not be surprised, honestly.
Oh my gosh.
See, this is why I fucking hate recording stuff on the PS3. It's because this kind of shit happens. Now I have to do a hard reset of the console.
Jeez.
Because your PS3 hates you.
Yeah.
Hey Microsoft, I just played Sonic Free Riders and I broke my arm. What do I do?
What? How did...
What, you never had that happen?
No.
It was just one jump too much and I broke my arm.
Like,
Okay,
how...
will the game work this time?
I don't know.
Depends on how much your PlayStation loves you.
It's gonna
It doesn't.
hardlock you into oblivion.
I mean, you abandoned
The
it
worst
for
part is this isn't
for
the
his younger
first game it's
brother.
crashed on.
That might be
Well, you
a
did
sign of a
abandon
failing
it
hard
for-
drive.
Oh, it doesn't love you enough.
Oh,
No.
yes it
Oh, wait,
does.
There we
wait,
go.
wait.
It's crashed on Kingdom Hearts 1 Final Mix. It's crashed on Katamari Forever.
Like, but were those the cause of the system?
What
'Cause
is that thing?
You don't remember the THX repairman?
yeah. I think
No.
the first time I saw that was in Monsters Inc.
Yeah.
I've never seen
Wait, the
that
people
ever.
who made Monsters Inc. made this.
No.
No. This is just the
This is the ad for
THX
THX.
THX is the sound system that George Lucas created for Star Wars.
It actually was pretty solid, last I remember. I don't know why people effectively
Presented
dropped
in high definition 1080p and true 7.1 surround sound.
it. We are not
Yay.
capturing
I
it,
say
bud.
as the game is being recorded at 360p.
Is it 360? I thought it was 480.
It was going to be 480 until you wanted to see it in widescreen.
Because that's how all of our YouTube audience is going to view it. That is YouTube's default format, and anything that doesn't adhere to that format gets stretched to... fuck it, whatever.
That's why the underlay exists.
So, instead of black pillar box, we're just gonna have our own pillar box. Genius.
At least it's not blank space. Hey, look! Analog
That's
flight control.
literally what pillar boxing is! It's just blank space!
All right, we're gonna try
a vast
to. We're trying to
empty
get.
hole,
We're
nothing.
gonna try to get as close to the 2007 experience as possible.
So, does that mean no analog sticks?
No
Does that mean we
analog-
have to
no
get-
analog sticks at all?
Oh, God.
Wait, does that mean we need to get a ton of chips and junk food to eat?
No.
Well, I already have my sandwich, and there was some green tea.
I was in middle school, so I would have just been in pain all the time.
I was 7 years old, so it's kind of hard to tell what. I only pay attention to the Wii.
Oh, by the way, I'm using this using an actual 6-axis controller. I never ended up getting a DualShock 3.
What is wrong with you?
I didn't play my PS3
That's not
that much.
possible. No, that's not even possible. Everything comes with a dual. Oh wait, no, the DualShock is the rumble feature.
Yeah.
I thought that the DualShock just came automatically with the PlayStation 4, and that was
No,
it.
like when the
It does.
PS3
Later
first
models.
For the
came
most part,
out,
it does.
instead of the DualShock 3, they had like actual 6-axis controllers. And this is the game that Sony decided to make to show off that feature.
Yeah, I bought the PS3 later in its life, where 6-axis DualShock was standard issue. So both of my PS3 controllers have both.
So
I just skipped that generation and got the PlayStation 4, and it serves well.
Yeah, because everything is standard issue. Comes out of the box nice and pristine. The hard-locked computer.
One group, the Mokai, forged their society in the fire and ice of the north.
Someone's breathing into their mic.
Nope, I'm not breathing.
While the Assyrians
How-
made their home
you are-
in protective
Are you sure
mountains
about
of
not
the
breathing?
south.
I don't believe you.
I'm pretty sure because in most of these recordings, I either lip up my mic all the way up to my forehead, or just holding in my breath.
Fair.
I'm not breathing because these
enough.
pre-rendered graphics are fucking amazing.
I'm not breathing.
actually,
I
I,
don't
think
have.
this is real time.
Envy of her neighbor,
I don't believe it.
came to rely on
It's been 11 years. I think we'd be able to tell.
protect her walls from
Everything in this video just looks like
for in this world consumed
Not-
strife.
not what I would want.
You know,
My
I think I was
engine knows, like-
reading a Wired magazine around this time, which went into detail about what kind of equations went into developing the water.
What?
Yeah.
Well,
Apparently,
we just took all
the
the
water
vertices.
the water of this game impressed people at the time.
Oh yeah. That was like the predecessor to the 7 out of 10 not enough water meme. Oh god, why does everything look like it's in ortho mode?
That's why we're going to perform some basic flight maneuvers today.
Perspective is for the weak.
So, how does that controller feel?
It feels like it. Whoa! I
Wow,
forgot
that's
how
too fast.
crappy these
Oh.
controls were.
That looks like ass.
Oh,
Oh my And I thought the Wii had some terrible graphics.
See, I don't know why the water is particularly breathtaking because this right here is just like Yeah, we got some vertices. We threw them around. Whatever.
As much as the Wii was my
Press A to fap.
childhood, I admit that it has terrible graphics.
I mean, it doesn't matter how high your texture quality
Flick
is.
the
if you put
controller up to
noisiest
do a
texture
180. Well,
Up, there you go.
welcome to Superman 64, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh,
Superman
fuck.
64, but with dragons.
I remember there was an RTS game that had a similar thing, except you were basically playing an RTS until you decided to control the dragon. But
Alright, now go through those rings.
But as anyone who has ever seen a pro RTS match, you never want to leave RTS mode. Well, pro RTS matches
Okay.
like StarCraft or anything.
Remember the part of Superman 64 where it had motion controls?
No.
That would
No.
be a nightmare, to be honest.
That's what playing Lair is like.
I remember Superman 64's motion controls because when I spiked my controller into the floor, Superman took a nosedive.
I wish that you could get that on the virtual console on the Wii.
Nah, it wouldn't be possible. The licensing would be a nightmare.
Good work, Roan. Our presence is required at the temple.
Well, you're having a good old
Return
time.
to Darklands any time to go through more rings.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, to be fair, it would probably be good practice. But
Return to
we're not
Darklands, play
here to
more
practice.
Superman 64. I feel like I would be impressed by looking at this, but now that we're in the new generation of consoles, not so much.
Yeah, this looked impressive back in 2007.
The Mokai, however,
I don't know.
seek to control
During this whole era, I was just kind of like glazed over with all the fancy CG. I feel like a lot of companies went out of their way to be like, yeah, look what we can do. And I was like, I am looking, but it all just looks ugly.
Big night.
Because they didn't go for style. They just went
I mean,
for
my
whatever the hell they
high
could
school mind didn't care at all.
I was
Yeah, that's the
I
thing.
was 7 years old. I don't think I would have cared about graphics back then.
The plague he has cast upon us.
I got my Wii when I was 6, so...
Fair enough.
And then don't even get me started on what I did with Pokemon.
the Xbox and you're saying this is PS3. This,
Yeah.
see, that's the thing. This looks like end of life PS2.
To be fair, there wasn't much of a graphics difference back then. Like, the difference between late PS2 and early PS3 is basically better textures.
Easy, girl.
Wait, that's a girl?
Burn these Mokai bastards!
I don't know. Did you check under his skirt?
Mokai are attacking us from the sea. Bring your blades back dull.
So the entire game you're just playing as this giant dragon?
No, you're playing as a guy who rides dragons. It's basically How to Train Your Dragon for adults with terrible controls.
And not nearly as good of a story.
No.
Yeah, Lair was pretty forgettable. Like, I heard about it, and then I stopped hearing about it when it was released, and then I just forgot about it.
I never even heard of it.
I don't think many people did.
Okay, so Square is Thunderbolt.
I forgot that you could breathe fire. I was more focused on Superman 64 and how amazing it was.
Please
Were
tell me
you?
that's sarcasm.
Yes.
We just had to make sure, sorry.
Oh.
Why wouldn't it be?
Oh, amazing! Amazing!
Wow, look at those amazing Michael Bay effects.
You get the rest while we provide cover.
Hey, look, I'm barely aiming.
The Mokai brought their entire
Eesh.
western fleet.
Oh no, can it only fire forward? Oh, it has auto aim. Thank God.
So what does
I
the
would
controller look
not-
like? I don't think I've ever seen it.
That's what I said. It has auto aim.
Oh, thank God. The controller is just it's. Oh right, you don't know what a PS3 controller looks like.
I'm sorry. My first PlayStation is the PlayStation 4.
It looks exactly like the PS2 and PS1 controllers do, except
She doesn't know what those look like
Only-
either.
Only
No,
it's,
I know what those look like.
Oh, then it's exactly the same thing except wireless.
Oh.
it's
Bigger.
wireless, and the L2 and R2 buttons are the worst triggers ever.
I
If you take
disagree
a
with that.
if you take a close look at the
They
controller,
feel fine.
the,
they're just not-
the original
just don't have
PlayStation
enough-
controller,
They just don't have enough spring in them. Is my major complaint, and they're too loud.
doesn't the
No, they're-
original PlayStation
You know
controller
how
have the
the
same
360
layout
ones
as
are like, they curve
PSNES
inward.
controller?
Yeah.
The PS3 controller, they curve outward.
Yes, I know.
They
I never
slip
even.
off your fingers.
Again, I don't know why people can't grip their controller properly. I never had these problems with the PS3 controller. I was just fine with the
Same.
PS2 and PS3 controllers.
Yeah.
Like I
Play my
legitimately don't
games
understand it. It
constantly
was not too
moves.
small or shit like that. It felt fine.
You must
The
have
D-pad
never
is-
touched a 6-axis controller then.
I just said I had a DualShock 3 6-axis controller and it worked fine. In fact, it was exactly the same as every other first-party controller for the PS3. The only difference was how weighty it felt and whether or not it could do the whole rotatey thing.
I am glad that the DualShock exists now.
The dual,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the
I think we can all agree that the DualShock 4 is leagues better.
Yes.
I mean, yeah, it is a straight upgrade like it's supposed to be, but I wouldn't say the league's better.
Can it
Well,
play Ape
anything
Escape?
is better than controlling you're currently using.
Well, it's just the way he's using it.
No, the triggers are better, the control sticks are better.
I'm supposed to be
The
pressing the controller, the shoulder
D-pad
buttons
is
with my
better.
face, right?
No, I would get to disagree with the D-pad. The PS2 D-pad, PS3 D-pads were basically some of the best I've ever felt. Especially in comparison to the Xbox 360 D-pad. Like, what the fuck was that even supposed to
That
do?
was the
I
D-pad for
remember
the
it.
360 controller is literally the only flaw in that.
It is the
I'm
stiffest
gonna
thing I've
disagree with
ever
that,
felt
too.
in my entire life.
Why?
I just felt the Xbox controller was so wieldy. Like the PS3 was very slick, it was very smooth. The Xbox controller kind of felt like it ballooned in my hands, and that's a problem that's persisted. It
The
just felt weird.
Xbox controller
You are
gave my
literally
hands
the first
cramps.
person to complain about it.
I legit, I don't know. Like my brother and I've played fighting games just fine with the PS3 controllers. Like we completely abandoned the analogs for Soul Cal and Tekken.
Eyes on, burners! Mokai dragons incoming!
Like the D-pad was just great. Like we had no complaints about it at all. And I'm pretty sure no one else did too, especially when our Xbox 360 friends came over and they're like, "Holy shit, this plays so much better."
Move, girl! Our men need us!
And then for shooters, it worked just fine. My brother and I don't have any complaints there. The triggers on the 360s worked just fine, but the rest of the controller was kind of weird. It was weird to handle. And also, I like the convex design of the PS3 analogs. I genuinely don't understand. Like the way my Hitchhiker's them would do is I would sit my joint right on top of the controller and just very carefully nudge the controller in the direction I wanted to go, and I would still have a better handle on shooters than some of the streamers I see play. And I fucking hate shooters on controllers.
Yeah, it feels very finicky and hard to aim with controllers. The DualShock 4 actually helps me a lot with that regard.
I don't understand how.
Well, just like controller-wise, using a PC is still better for shooting games, but
Yes,
you know.
that is never gonna change.
Well, controller-wise, the DualShock 4 is the best for me.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with Sony all the way.
Yeah.
I do really like
For me,
the
it's
way
Dual
Switch
Shock.
does everything.
I'm actually really fond of Switch's Pro Controller, but for me, it's gonna be either that or the DualShock 4.
Agree.
Have I
It just
mentioned
feels-
how
I
I
think
hate
it's- I think
the
it's-
Switch's the D-pad on the Switch Pro Controller?
No.
My Switch Pro controller. Yeah, I can see that.
I
Because
just got
here's the
mine,
thing.
so I don't have
I
that
have no
yet.
idea how the hell they did it, but Nintendo somehow fucked up the D-pad.
Yeah, because
Weren't they the makers of the D-pad?
Yes.
not.
Well, no, they're
Yeah.
the ones who basically streamlined it.
Yeah, them and Sony.
Because here's
Well,
the
I
thing.
guess Sony was
The
designed
D-pad
after.
on the Joy-Cons, people complain that they're all separated, but you know what? It actually works better like that because in the way the D-pad kind of functions as buttons anyway.
Why do people complain about the fucking D-pad on the Switch? That is like the tightest D-pad I've ever felt.
Which one, the Joy-Cons or the Pro Controller?
The Joy-Cons, the Pro Controller, I'm gonna have to agree, just because they took a book out of the Xbox 360.
Yeah, I actually love the way the Joy-Con D-pad feels on my hands.
Like, you know how I play Tetris with the fucking D-pad? Because that thing is tight as shit. You can tell me to switch
Plus-
to analog and I'll throw my controller out the window.
Plus, each button is separated, so it's easier for me to tell which one is which than just like
There to be like one
fingering
disc.
everything.
Yeah, no,
Figuring
having them four completely different buttons changed everything big time. It just felt great. It felt even better than the PlayStation ones.
Only con is when you're playing with a friend, you have to deal with the Joy-Con size.
I mean, that's less a disadvantage and more something you have to compromise with if you don't have other controllers. Because I think this is the first console I've ever owned that's come with more than one controller.
I think the
Out of the
Super
box.
Nintendo had like 2 controllers out the box.
That's fair. I didn't have a Super Nintendo. I had a
I wasn't
Genesis.
even born yet when the Super Nintendo came out.
I don't. Yeah, I don't think I was either. I was late to the party. My first memory was playing. Well, my first video game memory was playing Streets of Rage with my dad.
First memory, Wii Sports with blind people.
Oh my god, that sounds awful.
Actually, it wasn't that bad. I just had to shout at my mother every single time she wanted to hit a ball.
Captain, what about Atakai?
Whoa! Why is the ocean in the sky?
We bury our dead.
Trippy visuals.
Yeah, trippy visuals. First video game memory for me, I would have to say is either, I can't remember which memory came first, but it was either, my dad got a computer and it came with, video games. And,
Yep.
it was either one of these two, either MDK2
There hasn't
or
been
American
such
McGee's Alice.
centuries. Some of them had never even
Those
seen
are very interesting first games.
My first
Yeah.
games were Super Mario World and Link to the Past.
This is only the beginning.
I definitely remember Pokemon Pearl.
Because
as
my
first
parents,
DS game.
my parents got their Super Nintendo as a wedding gift, and according to them, they were playing Link to the Past while they were waiting for me to be delivered.
Hmm.
Well, actually, my mom was pregnant with me when my parents were playing Link to the Past, and according to them, it took a year to beat.
A Link. All right, that's fair enough.
Because this was an age before the internet.
No, even before the internet, I didn't find that because my first playthrough was blind and it didn't take me a whole fucking year. Granted, I also have a lot more. I also
Keep in
dedicate a
mind that
lot
we're
more time to
talking about
gaming.
normies here.
Yeah, that too.
According to my stepdad, I took a couple, like, 18 years to beat.
Yeah, that's a hell of a long time. It took me Armored Core like a year to beat, but that's only because I didn't really understand what strategy was. And I kept
It
getting
took
my
me
ass kicked.
over. It took me over 11 years to beat Pokemon Pearl
What the fuck?
because I was a very stupid 6-year-old and I completely dropped the game at the second gym.
See, when I got my hands on Pokemon Red for the first time, what I did was I got Charmander. I filled up my team with 6 Pokemon, and then I used nothing but Charmander, and that's how I beat the Elite Four with
Well,
level 80 fucking Charizard.
to be fair, the second gym in Pokemon Pearl, it was hide and seek, and I don't think my brain registered hide
You
and
mean
seek.
hide and seed?
Oh, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I couldn't find all the trainers, and so I gave up, and I overleveled my Chimchar.
I say we do one more level before we call it.
I can't see the time code, so sure.
It's 26 minutes.
Okay, sure. One more level ought to suffice, I think. Depends on whether or not we're gonna cut out the whole part where we restarted. But keep the intro. Keep the intro and just
Well,
cut
of
out the
course I
midsection.
am. Of course I'm editing this.
What do you think he is, Jake?
Yeah.
I mean,
Hey,
we're
at
at a
least you
point
won't
where-
die on
but here's the
purpose.
thing. If I don't edit this, we are not going to get both audio tracks. I learned that the hard way.
Wait, what?
Can you feed the dragon?
That would be an awesome mini game. Not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Like,
Feed him the
Like, you
squishy
feed them
enemies.
prisoners of war.
but you don't get your fingers bitten.
No, what's it called? In Black and White 2, my brother and I experienced this strange phenomenon where when we tried to be, like when I tried to be a benevolent god, my creature would almost invariably be evil. And when my brother tried to be an evil as hell god, his creature would almost invariably be good. Eventually, when we got older than the age of 12, we figured it out. It was because we basically had our creature do all the jobs that we didn't do, because you need a little bit of both to keep your people alive in one way or another. But we both wanted to be completely aligned on one side, so we just had our creature do all the dirty shit for us, or in my brother's case, the clean shit. It was kind of glorious.
Oh my god, we're fighting a giant manta ray!
Like my people are happy that their architecture is like all bright and
Oh my
crisp,
god,
and
we
there's, like,
exploded
beautiful
a
music
giant
playing.
manta ray!
Yeah, I mean, but yeah, no. Just imagine, like, a city worshiping their god, like with beautiful architecture, like gardens everywhere, everything's decorated very beautifully, and then the god's pet comes along. There's a giant 50-foot lion with devil spikes growing out of its back. And then on the flip side, in my brother's save, you had prisons everywhere. It was basically a military police state. And you have this you have this wolf come along carrying grain and dispense it into the granary to take out some seeds and go plant and get ready for the next harvest. It was so backwards.
Oh my god. You're giving some great imagery.
No, it was great. Like, part of me wants to play that game for the channel, except it's just completely broken on Windows 7. So I need to either emulate it, in which case I need to find a good copy of XP, or just build another computer and load XP onto that. Either way, I wouldn't have a fun time.
I like the way the dragon runs. Oh,
Oh, cool! It's carrying a
got a
sleigh.
trebuchet.
Are deploying catapults along the bank.
Oh no, that's just a catapult.
Oh,
Here I
no,
was
that's-
thinking. Here I was thinking he could launch a 40-kilometer stone. 40
Has anyone
kilogram
been paying
fucking-
attention to the story? In this
No.
Does
game
anyone
yet?
actually care about the story?
Why do you think I read that wiki?
He's
To
a
be fair,
dragon.
we can't hear anything, and the captions are too low quality.
Oh wow!
So
look
even
at
if
that
I wanted to.
dragon walk. That's a great walking
Dude,
animation.
you've heard this story before. A guy finds out he's fighting for the wrong side. He switches sides. He fights for the other side. The end. How many times have you heard that one?
A few
What am I
times. One of my
fighting
favorite games has that
for?
plot.
Too many times.
Well, that basic premise itself isn't boring or overdone. It's just
How you
for
use
a
it.
lot of
Execution?
stories. For a lot of stories, that becomes its only premise. Like if you play Ace Combat 5, or when I play Ace Combat 5, feel free to watch. That has a very similar story, but it's told in a very interesting and unique way that's more focused on the characters and their reactions to the whole scenario rather than the scenario itself. And I feel in a lot of ways, if I were a story writer, that's exactly how I would write a story. It's not about the scenario, it's about how the characters react to the scenario.
Yeah, you need good execution or to have a good story.
It's not even about execution, it's about where your focus lies. You have to be able to empathize with the characters in certain situations. And you can have like really shit protagonists too. It's not who your protagonists are, it's what light you put them in. They just have to feel human. They don't even have to feel unless you're the kind of person who has to have their particular gender and race and everything. In which case I feel sorry for you. You seem to lack the ability to empathize. I suggest you go to talk to someone about that. Preferably
I can't possibly read any of the fucking Game of Thrones books, The Song of Ice and Fire. I can't read those because there's too many characters. Like the overall plot is bland as hell, and I understand that the characters make that story.
Right.
There are too many, and I cannot fucking...
Oh, no, I get that completely. Someone found the sweet spot for the number of main characters at once is 7.
Okay.
Any more, and the human brain will just not be able to process them all.
Yeah, I think everybody that like actually enjoys
Unless
the
you
books.
get like a whole bunch of characters and start like withering them down one by one.
No, because then you would still have a big 7 who would basically take control of the plot, and everyone else would act as side characters. That's how a lot of TV shows with a lot of cast members do it. So remember Total Drama Island, if anyone remembers that. It was usually, like, the story would actually trade main characters depending on the episode and what they wanted to focus on. And usually, at least one of the characters in the spotlight would be the one voted off the island. So it was a bit predictable. It came down to a guessing game sometimes, but for the most part, you could figure out what was going to happen. Don't get me wrong, I enjoyed the show just because of how stupid it was and how focused on the characters it was.
Yeah, I am a victim of that too.
Yeah, but it was still kind of a stupid show.
Unless you have an enjoyment of seeing the main antagonist for the entire season finally get her head shaved off.
Yeah.
You kind of get used to the animation style after a while.
Yeah, the animation style, I'm of two minds on that, because it just seemed very
lazy.
plain. Yeah.
Well, at least they knew how to write good characters.
Wait, those are characters?
Or well,
yeah.
at least they knew how to write a good story and make some characters likable.
Yeah, they like I said, they gave a lot more they gave character spotlights according to who you were supposed to root for and who was at risk of getting voted off. And they developed those characters particularly during some episodes. And I think that's the great part about an episodic series like that, is that you have the ability to trade off main character roles. And I feel if you were writing a book, you would do something similar, but I guess Entrance G ran into the problem where they switched characters too often, and it just became overwhelming.
I've read the Lord of the Rings books, all of them, and they seem to have a good balance between that sort of thing.
Right. It's
this
feasible.
Game
it's just
pseudo
difficult.
HCR.
So you probably
is
understand why
fucking
this is
up.
kind of a crappy fantasy then.
Yeah.
It's not crappy so much as it's very
Flawed.
it's generic, and anyone who's paid attention enough knows that generic fantasy typically just rips off from Tolkien.
Yeah.
Not that
I don't
you
like-
can't have a good Tolkien-inspired fantasy. It's just that fucking everyone takes from Tolkien without adding anything to their own, or they do something stupid like make orcs sympathetic, even though that's kind of the whole point, is for them to be inherently evil, and to ask the question, why?
Trebuchet at the front gate, and a full battalion. Rome, firebomb those trebuchet before they break through the wall. If it falls, their army can march on the city.
everything that you look at turns black if you turn too far, and it's really annoying.
It looks
I
as
don't
if
like
the
this era of game.
You gotta remember, our footage is dropped quality, and I'm assuming it's ghosted
No,
quite a bit.
It's more like the pseudo HDR that you'd see whenever. Like, this game looks like it was an Xbox exclusive, but it definitely isn't.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I get you now. I get you.
which era of Xbox, the original or the 360? Because I think it was almost a 360.
The original Xbox had a weird share of ugly looking games that had good style and like a lot of stylish games that were ugly.
And then there's just some that are ugly on purpose.
It's
Those
weird.
don't happen too often.
Yeah, the thing is, I don't think like we've gotten a lot better in recent history, but I remember when, especially in the PS2, PS3 era, people didn't really understand that your art style had to fit the medium because, especially back then, it was a very technically limited medium. You couldn't have all these cool things going on that we have now, so you had to find a balance. You had to find a way to make it look cool. And games like Silent Hill did fantastic, while other games like
this one.
Yeah,
like this one.
Like this one,
Hey, look, I'm actually eating.
Like
Oh.
Oblivion, like
Oh, you're feeding the dragon.
Yeah.
like a lot of PS3 games. Oblivion was a major offender with its infamous jelly people, and you can't just have shader operations and expect everything to look pretty.
Isn't that why Little Big Planet sold well?
Yeah, because it was just a gorgeous art style. Like, it found that perfect balance between technology and art. Like it did make it look pretty decently realistic. Like, you could suspend your disbelief long enough to believe that this was an actual world where little
Sack boys.
sack boys made out of burlap
Stuffing.
were running around and
Little
killing
sack boys made out
and
of.
jumping on things.
Sack.
Well, it looks like a burlap to me, like a burlappy kind of woven.
Material.
It just looks like a moving punching bag to me.
I was trying to pinpoint the exact material they were going for. It looks like a woven burlappy kind of thing. I think Dave knows what I'm talking about.
I do. Yeah, it's. I mean, it's like a potato bag.
Yeah, exactly.
Another
And it looks
game.
adorable.
Another game with some interesting art direction, I think, is the BioShock series. Just sort of like the atmosphere.
Oh yeah.
Their characters were very highly stylized, but you couldn't really tell because they had pretty humanish proportions.
Take out the remaining trebuchet. Take out that
Well, it's not that you couldn't tell, it's just that it didn't draw your eye too much because, well, it was done well.
Mm-hmm.
trebuchet before it's fired.
BioShock is fun.
Oh yeah, it is. I personally enjoy the first one. And the whole idea behind the second one.
The whole series that has some high points. I think Infinite falls drastically short in that department, but it's not. I don't think it's a terrible experience.
I don't think the
I will
second one's
concede
a
to
terrible
that argument I
experience
had
either.
with that one person on Twitter, where it is worse than Call of Duty, simply because I couldn't come up with a counterpoint as to why it wasn't.
At least BioShock tries to be different with its games.
That stopped happening after Infinite, though.
Yeah, you're right. But in the beginning, it did try.
Like, you'll see. Eventually, I'll be playing a game where multiple universes and multiple timelines becomes a thing, and you'll see me compare it to BioShock Infinite, and then you will see why I really, 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 really hate the ending to BioShock Infinite. Like, the rest of the story is actually decent up until the ending.
Yeah. Agree.
owes you her life today, Roan. The grain you saved.
Oh yeah, I forgot this game had a plot.
Kyle, think twice about
Yeah,
attacking
everyone
our
forgets
walls
that.
again.
It just looks too much like Lord of the Rings or some other.
Okay, this is pre-rendered.
What was that book I read again?
The Hobbit.
Oh yeah, the Inheritance Cycle. About people who ride dragons.
Hmm.
Where have I seen that before? Oh wait, this game.
Fair enough.
Ah.
God was with us. We won.
The Inheritance Cycle is actually a pretty good book series. I like it.
Tongue, Jevin.
Hey Dave, when are we gonna play Lost Planet?
We'll need to figure out
That is a
where
very
the
good
Volcano are
question.
attacking from.
We're playing co-op, right?
Oh yeah.
For Lost
I-
Planet?
Yeah. Because I have one on family sharing, and I am more than willing to buy two. So
Yeah, I can't wait for you two to do that.
oh, actually, I can just buy the whole series for like $10 right now. Think I'm gonna do that. Ends July 5th. I was just paid today. How much money do I have?
All
And my phone's dead. Fuck me.
Uh-oh.
What?
Your phone's almost dead.
No, it is dead.
Oh.
He's on
Yeah.
his computer.
Would you like me to hold
Unlike
the funeral
someone
for it?
else in this call.
Select your
Hey, it's not her
vehicle.
fault. I'm not gonna bash her for that.
I just found out that my computer, the dinosaur, can only play Jackbox, okay?
At least that's good.
I mean, technically, it doesn't really play
Dude,
it
why
so
is
much.
it so
as a
fucking
little
dark
web
in
app.
here?
Well, it connects to it.
Your
Yeah,
computer
most
has a
computers
browser.
should be able to do that. Let's see, how much money do I have? Oh, fuck, I forgot.
You're broke.
No, I'm actually the quite opposite of broke right now. What is bothering me, though, is that I actually have no idea how much spending money I have at the current
Although
moment
many
because
Assyrians blamed
rent
the attacks on
is due
Mokai.
in like 2 days and I don't pay it for another 2 days.
Just spend it all just to be safe.
You can't wait?
Yeah. No, I can wait. I can wait. That's fine. That's probably what I'm gonna do. I'm just pissed that I'm like this close to buying the entire series.
If the Mokai were motivated by hunger. Either way, the Assyrian sky
If people
god
haven't
needed
noticed,
to find a
my
way to stop
most
the
hated-
Mokai assault.
Oh, are we done?
We can be done. Do you want to keep going or no?
No.
I know I'm kind of getting into the conversation here.
Yeah, because I was waiting for you to shut me up, but that works too.
Well, on that note, on behalf of Neon Cabaret, I've been the American Slacker.
I've been tech support.
I fed a dragon.
And I am wrapped up in my own childhood nostalgia.
And Dave's
Now we're
around here
local
somewhere. Oh,
Yeah. I'm,
No, he's still here.
yeah.
I just talked
Yeah.
right over him.
Yep. This is why we can never do outros properly.
This is why we can't have nice things.
This is why you can't succeed.
And this is why Cameron is gay. Okay, bye!